Kick us off. So, welcome everyone to this August virtual chapter
21.
20,
Yeah.
August 21, 2025 of our Chicago Slack community chapter. Being it virtual, we have people from not just Chicago, but all over the country and the world. So, we thank you all so much for joining us wherever you are from. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and what you are, because we are in CST, Central Standard Time. It's lunchtime for us right now. So if you're also in Central Standard Time, please feel free to put your lunch, what you're having for lunch, or what you're about to have for lunch, or dinner, or breakfast, or second dinner, or whatever, brunch. And if you're fasting, we apologize in advance. Joy, if you want to go to the next slide, we'll just introduce ourselves here.
Yeah, I guess I am in charge of that.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
It's pretty loose here today, everyone. My name, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Byron Chopek. I am a senior consultant at Sageti, which is part of Capgemini. I'm also one of the Slack Community Chicago chapter leaders. Joy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure.
First time as a leader, officially.
First time official as a leader. Hi. Hi, my name is Joy Shutters-Helbing. I am a Salesforce consultant. I am also a co-host of the Jam podcast, which is a little bit unrelated, but that's listed here. And I am Byron's Slack co-leader in Chicago, and I'm really excited to be here. So thanks, everyone. Jacob.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Byron and Joy. First of all, thank you both so much for having me. Chicago chapter has a special place in my heart. I live in Chicago as well, so I couldn't say no to this opportunity. Even if you're not from Chicago, hello, it's great to see you here. My name is Jacob. I'm on the community team at Slack. I do a lot of different things. A lot of you I see in the chat, familiar faces and names. If I don't know you yet, hello and welcome to the Slack community. We like to have fun. We like to talk about Slack, best practices, share feedback, attend events, earn some fun swag. We take swag very seriously around here. And I also work closely with people like Byron and Joy and the rest of the Slack community leaders to help host user-led events around the globe. If you are a Slack community leader, which I know some of you are in the chat, please say hello, maybe what chapter you lead, maybe a link to your chapter page. This is an opportunity for you to share more about your chapter as well. So it's good to see you all here. I'm super excited to talk more about Slack. I will keep this very casual and conversational throughout the whole time, but I look forward to jumping in.
All right. So, Jeff, you want to take us to our next slide to go over our agenda today? So we're going to first talk about some upcoming Slack and Salesforce community events that we wanted to highlight, as well as we're going to let you all know where is win an okay phrase to say, Jacob?
That's okay.
Okay.
Collect, limited supply.
Yeah.
Limited supply.
There are some legal gray areas we're all trying to figure out.
That's fine. No worries.
Okay. But yes, potential to win some Slack community swag. And then Jacob is going to take us through a presentation of underrated Slack tips for engagement and collaboration. So if we want to go to our next slide to talk about our upcoming events. So if you are in Chicago on September 22nd, we'll be having this is not part of the Slack community, this is actually Trailhead community called Get Hands-On with Salesforce Channels and Slack Automation at the Salesforce offices. Joy, I know you and work closely with Mike. So
yeah, I'm actually hosting this meeting too. So
yeah, nice. So if you want to give us a little preview of it.
So it's a hands-on training that it's getting its first run at Northeast Dreamin' in Boston the first week of September. And so if you're in Chicago, I would highly recommend getting here for this. I don't know how many folks on the call are part of this, but I will drop the link in the chat so that I think the QR code will work. But if you want to get to a little bit easier, that's a crazy link. I'm so sorry. But it is a hands-on, you need to bring your own computer sort of situation. So, and I do believe that this training will be traveling to Dreamforce. So you might have a chance to see it then, but that's really all I can tell you about it, because I think someone is still working on that presentation.
That's someone being Mike.
I don't want to. Not gonna throw him under the bus or anything,
No,
but here we are.
And speaking of Dreamforce, actually, Dreamforce is happening October 14th through the 16th in San Diego. If you can make it out, I will add this discount code to get $500 off. I'll put that in the chat. I'm
so sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, and speaking of Dreamforce, I'll be there speaking as well. Jacob, I believe, will be there. So if you're in San Francisco area, please come say hello. So that's coming up. So yeah, Joy, if you want to go to the next slide, we talk about Slack swag. Actually, Jacob, if you want to let people know, since you've got the hookup.
All right. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So some of you might be familiar with how seriously we take swag around here, but we're going to, Joy and Byron in particular, are going to keep an eye out throughout the event, see, who's most engaged and asking questions, and just keeping an eye out for some folks who should be earning some Slack community swag at the end of this event. I'll also sprinkle in some other additional opportunities for swag throughout my presentation and demo. So keep an eye out for that as well. But they're going to select 5 people by the end of this session, which will show at the end to redeem some Slack swag. And we have a whole bunch of Slack swag. So Joy is wearing some. We have backpacks and bags and water bottles and pens and stickers and socks and plushies. And those plushies come in a set of 4, by the way. You don't get one of them. They come all together. Swag is the best. I love the merch business. Some people don't. I do. You will never stop hearing me hearing me talk about swag. So, oh no. Hiding from the hurricane. Stay safe, Kimberly, please.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
But yes, some fun Slack swag is in the mix. So should I jump in, Byron and Joy?
Yeah. If you want to go,
sure. If you want to, there we go. So so here's the deal with this whole thing. So I'm sharing my entire screen. So, which also means I cannot see any of you. I cannot see the chat, none of that. So Joy and Byron, please interrupt me. Stop me with questions that people have, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to share my whole screen. Share. And if I could just get a verbal yes when that is sharing.
Right now I see Jacob.
Yep, nothing right now. Oh, here
it
comes.
Yeah, there it is.
We're ready.
I see the purple.
Yes. Okay. So what you should be looking at now is my entire screen, which is the Slack community workspace. If you are not in the Slack community workspace, I'm going to do a little inception right now. I apologize. I'm going to put the join link in the chat if you would like to try out some of the stuff that we're doing. And Joy and Byron, you can copy that if you want to share it later or throughout the time that we're meeting, just sprinkle it in case people miss it. But that is the join link if you want to jump into exactly what you're looking at right now. This is the community workspace. So we have a bunch of different programs here in the Slack community, a workspace being one of them, because we wanted to offer Slack users the chance to meet each other, to ask questions, to share ideas, to participate in AMAs, Ask Me Anything events, but also to get to use the product. So if your team is currently on a free plan, or you're debating upgrading, or you're on a paid plan already, but you don't know what Workflow Builder is, the automation tool, or you don't know what any paid features are, or Slack AI, and you want to give it a try, this is your opportunity. This workspace is available to you. So what you're looking at right now, and this also helps if anyone in this event that's listening, if you work in like internal comms, or you work on employee engagement in Slack, or you do anything like that, this is also relevant for you as well. And you can, I'm not a gatekeeper, so I want you to steal ideas and copy things, whatever you want. This is all publicly available information. So when someone joins the community workspace, something that we decided to do was to, and this is something I encourage you all to do, that if you have a landing spot for people in Slack, try to change the mindset from a Slack message to a Slack canvas, especially if you are educating people in your Slack workspace about what that Slack workspace is for. So as you can see here, we have a Slack canvas, which if you're not familiar, it is Slack's native document layer within Slack, where you can do a whole bunch of things. But for this purpose, it helps with onboarding. So you're onboarding into the Slack community workspace. And so I'm going to open up that canvas. And so as you can see, there's a bunch of fun stuff in here. And forgive my Slack notifications popping off throughout the hour. So what you're looking at is the Slack canvas. Again, this is just a document. And you can do a bunch of different things with it. So you can see we have, if you're not on mute, do you mind putting yourself on mute? Whoever is not on mute, thank you. I assume you did, thank you. So you have different titles here. So think of this as like a header 1, a header 2. This is one of my favorite features of Canvas. It's so minimal, but it's one of my favorites. So what I'm gonna do is actually open a canvas and show you. This is not a canvas. This is a canvas. So here in the workspace, we decided to put in the callout. That's what this feature is called, this colorful box right here. If you have information that you want to literally call out and make sure people see, you can insert that kind of like, I don't want to call it a text box. It's not a text box. It's almost just like a colorful shaded box to highlight or call out specific information. So obviously some of the code of conduct, what the Slack community is about, the legal terms, the invite link for people to join the workspace, that's obviously very important stuff. And so here in a canvas, in order to activate the call out, you do a simple /. So / call out. And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna write here, important info. Joy and Byron rock. That obviously is important info. So you can see it's green here. If you wanna change the color, because this is important too. If you want to, keep it on brand or change it up a little bit, make it a little bit more colorful, all I did was go to more actions, these 6 dots here, and background color, and change the color here. So you can change it to aubergine, which is Slack's main brand identity color. Just have some fun stuff built into Canvas. And so while I'm in this canvas, let me just show you some other things. So we put a table of contents in here. If you're doing some sort of like education, again, a canvas is really good for that, like education about why people are in the workspace and where they can find stuff. These are all sections. So here's a header, here's a header, here's a header, here's a header. And so what you can do is actually copy a link to that section, just in case someone doesn't want to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. So if someone wanted to get the link to the Slack community swag store, I could just copy a link to that section and make sure that it was in the table of contents. Because when I click, it goes right down to that section right here.
Hey, Jacob, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I had a quick
please.
question on canvases from
Yeah.
Christine Pinto. She was asking,
Please.
a canvas needs to open a new window. Is that really better than a message to a new joiner? Why would you choose a canvas kind of as opposed to like a direct message? So like, what would you say best practice would be in that scenario?
So thanks, Byron. And thank you. Is it Christine you said asked that question?
Christine, yeah.
Are we talking a clarifying follow-up? Are we talking about opening in a new window or the purpose of a canvas?
I think a little bit of trying to understand. Well, we could probably do both.
Both,
Opening a new
yeah.
window and the purpose, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you, Christine. I personally am a fan of opening stuff in their own windows in Slack, because in Slack, you're really multitasking in many different ways for the right reasons. It's not this like crazy noisy space. I'll die on that hill, by the way. Slack is not noisy. It's just you haven't managed your notification settings accordingly, which I can show you as well. But I tend to open it up because if I'm in a team meeting, for example, and I'm taking notes and I want to use a canvas to take notes, but the team meeting is happening in a huddle, let's say, or in a different app, but I still want to keep my main Slack window open, that tends to be, a lot of the reason why. But there's also an option where I've put it up here. So I've put it as a tab in the channel itself. So as a tab, it opens up within Slack. So you do have that option. If you wanted to open it up in its own window, just go to more actions menu and open a new window. So you do have that option. I just like it from the perspective of like multitasking, or maybe I am a new member to the Slack community workspace and I want to scroll through this, like these channels, for example, and look them up in the Slack community workspace as I have this open. So consider opening things in a new window. It's very helpful, especially with multitasking. And using Canvas could be a really good idea for like meeting notes, as I said, but quarterly reports. What we do a lot, like we're currently in the middle of Dreamforce planning, so everything is in Slack. We have a Canvas for the on-site activations, and a Canvas for the ancillary events, and I have a Canvas for all the ways that I'm engaging with our Slack community leaders like Byron and Joy. I have a Canvas for tables. You can create tables in Canvas as well, which I could show you here. So in Canvas, you can do, again, this is a / and you could do a table as well. And so this is where we have like, put in your location of your event, the time of the event. Maybe I want to add another column and do the notes about the event for some reason. That's a long-winded answer, Christine. Byron, was there any follow-up from Christine there?
No, I think she wanted to just say I could have it updated centrally for everyone. So Canvas is kind of like an update. Yeah. Okay.
You got it. And Christine, another answer to your question is there's a setting in Slack that enables you to notify your channel when you make updates to the channel canvas. You can also turn that setting off. So every time you make updates, it doesn't need to update the channel. It would go into the channel here and it would say, Jacob Gross has made updates to so-and-so canvas. But I've turned that off here because it's not relevant, because it's not an active channel. It's just one centralized place to discover the canvas. So that's homework number one for everyone. Build a canvas, open a canvas, try out a canvas. There's also Canvas templates. So if I go into the main window for canvases, I can open a template. So maybe I want to build out a monthly newsletter. And here's a template that Slack gives you. And so how to use that template, you just go up to the upper right-hand corner and use the template. And notice how you can build in other different elements here. So you can have your team's profile if you're in HR or talent acquisition, or you're a hiring manager. Maybe building out a canvas for your new employee onboarding is great, because then you can build out your team and show the team profiles. And the way to show profiles, same thing as before, /profile. And when you do /profile, you just add the person's name. So if I add Piyusha, some of you know who Piyusha is, I add Piyusha there. And that's a nice little sort of, it's like the little things that matter in Slack. That to me is super important, especially if you're onboarding someone, you can show your teammates there. And they have direct access to their profiles, which is nice. You see here as well, images, you can embed video, but what you can also do is let me just click use template. And so when you click use template, it will populate accordingly. So you can see here, adding images, add profile. You can also delete these and change up the template. You're not required to use it, but you can also drag and drop stuff. And it has a guiding line for you in case you move things in places you don't want. So you can move different elements around, which I think is super, super neat. So that's Canvas.
Oh, real quick, we have a couple other questions on Canvas. So this one,
let's do it.
From Maroon asking, I feel like Slack is somewhat replaces some of the use of Quip, and I believe Canvas is kind of built upon Quip, if I'm not mistaken, or kind of.
Yeah,
similar?
great. Yeah, great question. So Quip sort of, I don't want to say evolved into what we know as Canvas today, because Quip is still a thing, but it's taking that same idea, but bringing it into Slack. This is a native Slack feature. It's not Quip, but you're right, Tarun. Based on what the framing of your question, it did form from what was known as Quip, and we wanted to bring something into Slack that was very similar, that was native to Slack, and that enabled people to keep even more information in Slack.
And then we had two other quick questions. One from Gabriel. So we can use workflows to update Canvas. So wanted to know if using workflows in the workflow builder. I mean, we'll get probably into workflow builder a little bit later, but can we use that to kind of update our canvases?
You can, yeah. There are steps within Workflow Builder where you can update a specific canvas just by simply inputting variables of what you want to update. For those of you who don't know, Workflow Builder I'll get into, but it's Slack's native automation tool. So we just want to give you a reason to keep, your processes, systems, documentation, reports, event planning, all in Slack. I really can't think of a function within an organization where Canvas wouldn't be relevant. And I say that as a Slack user, not as a Slack employee. I say that purely as a Slack user. I can't imagine someone not finding a use case for Canvas. So yeah, good questions. Byron, was there another?
Yeah, there's one more. Is there any from Kridish? Are there any limits in terms of text or images?
There aren't. I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen some pretty extensive canvases. I haven't heard, at least yet, of someone being blocked from adding more. So continue to build out your canvases. I haven't heard otherwise. Good questions. Good questions. So let's pivot a little from Canvas. I'm going to minimize this. So you all can go through the Welcome to Slack community canvas. We have some good stuff in there. If you want to apply to lead your local chapter and be the Byron and Joy of our local city, you can do that as well. So that's the welcome canvas. The other thing I want to show you, so I want to hop into the sidebar. And I've cleaned it up a little bit. My sidebar is usually pretty easy, but I've cleaned it up hopefully a little bit so it's less distracting and we can focus on some things here. So I've put in some key channels here. Let's go into the introductions channel. And this is good if you are thinking about building an automation team or folks where you want to help folks get engaged more with Slack and use the product. A lot of you have used this workflow before, but before I get into it, I want to just give a high-level overview. Workflow Builder is Slack's low or no code native automation tool. All this means is you can build a series of steps and triggers that Slack has built for you. You're just slotting them in order to accomplish a task. That's really all it is. So what's the trigger and what are the steps? What do they do? And so for the intros channel, a while back, if you've been around the Slack community for a little while, we used to have the channel be open where people can post an introduction, but we wanted to try out several months ago. It might have been the end of last year or maybe the beginning of this year. We wanted to try out this a little bit while also giving people the chance to contribute in their own way. That's very important. Especially if you are, thinking about engaging your members and making sure that people can contribute what they want. So what we did is we built a workflow, which I'm actually going to show you the behind the scenes of. So before we get into what's actually there on the screen, we're going to look at the workflow. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I want to be mindful of that because some folks might need that. So how are we starting the workflow? So the workflow starts from a link in Slack. To give you some context, you can have your workflow start on a schedule because maybe you're automating a message to your team to submit their agenda items for an upcoming team meeting or something. But we wanted to start it from a link in Slack, and I'll show you why that's important. So just think of a link. Just think of something, you click a link and something happens. So what happens when we click on this unique link that Slack generates for us? A form pops up. Think of any form where you collect information, a Google form, anything. A form pops up. We ask to make sure you've completed your profile picture, how long have you been using Slack, where are you based, all of this great stuff. And by the way, when you're creating forms, you can ask whatever you want, and the question can be a certain type of question, whatever you want. So this one's a checkbox, for example. How long have you been using Slack? We chose this one to be a drop-down menu and have predetermined responses here. Okay, because we want it to be pretty consistent, but also we're giving people the ownership to select stuff on their own. Company organization name, where are you based? Share more about how your company uses Slack today. Notice how company name was short answer. We made share how you use Slack a paragraph answer because we want that to be maybe a few more sentences. You can also add hints here just in case. People need more context. We have what's your LinkedIn profile, and then tell us a fun fact. So fun stuff there. You can also select Rich Text Composer if you want to collect information in a form where you expect people to put bullet points, or they want to bold stuff or use emojis, stuff like that. So you can also use Rich Text Composer. So when someone so they've clicked a link, a form populates, and they complete the form. When they complete the form, what happens? It sends a message to the intros channel. New member alert, let's meet at Jacob, for example. So all this is it's plugging in the variable. That's all this is. So the behind the scenes of this message, select a channel. I want it to go to intros, all of their form content. And here's the message, which you can build yourself and customize yourself when you build the workflow on your end. So person who used this workflow, so this changes to their name in the channel, is based in answer to where are you based, and has been using Slack for answer to how long have you been using Slack. They are currently part of the answer to company organization. Check out the thread below to learn more about the person who used this workflow. Again, that tags them again. So you're probably thinking to yourself, I asked a lot more questions than that. Why am I not seeing all of the responses here? Well, we make a very conscious effort to encourage people to use threads. And if you're looking for a way to get people to use threads, I highly recommend turning off posting permissions in channel and making it workflow only. And I'll pause after this. There's probably questions. I'll pause after this. Give me just 1 second. So it populates into intros, and then the next step is reply to a message in thread. What are we replying with? Well, the rest of the workflow form responses. So here's what Jacob has to say more about how they use Slack in addition to what they're most curious about. This text I typed myself, how they use Slack, and then input the variable. What they're most curious about when it comes to Slack, insert the variable, which by the way is here. That's all I'm doing, plugging in answer to so-and-so. And we can't forget the fun fact. Here is Jacob's fun fact, answer to tell us a fun fact. And then it says welcome. So one last thing, I think there's 1 or 2 more steps. Here we go. And then after it populates all of that stuff in channel, in the intros channel, it then sends a message to that person, a DM. So the DM comes from the workflow. So you're essentially being messaged by the app. A workflow is an app, essentially. And again, no coding required, 0 lines of code required in building this. Anyone can do it, anyone. So it says, hey, person who used this workflow, thank you for submitting your introduction, and so on and so forth. It just adds some closure. So if you're thinking about ways to engage your employees more, or your team, or whomever it is, this is a great way to think about that. Someone is off mute, I think.
I think that's me because I'm about to ask a couple questions here.
Oh yes, sorry, Byron. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
All
please,
right.
Please.
Yeah, we've got quite a few workflow builder questions. First, just kind of combining 2 questions as far as Slack workflow builder kind of being used within Salesforce, like being able to exchange data or pull live data. Is that something that is available within workflow builder? And if so, what do we need to do to kind of get that all connected?
Yeah, good question. So let me go back to Slack. So the short answer is yes, you can connect Salesforce to Workflow Builder. There are a few caveats there. You have to make sure that your organization has approved that to happen, and that's basically really the only caveat. You have to make sure that first of all, that your company admins allow you to use Workflow Builder, or if it's reserved for a select few people. And then if they've approved being able to connect Salesforce with Workflow Builder. So I go over to automations here. That's what workflows are. They're automations. And if I go to, let me go here, new, build workflow. So let me just do this. So you're in Workflow Builder now for people who are curious about the backend. You can also use Slack AI to build a workflow for you, like remind my team to post their stand-up every Monday at 2 p.m. or something. But I'm going to start one manually, choose an event. So before I showed you the from a link in Slack, but here's how you can trigger or start a workflow. These are some options here. And as you'll see here, let me see. Oh, I don't know why Salesforce is not showing. You know what? It's probably a permissions thing, but Salesforce would appear here on your end. And there are a few steps that you can do with Salesforce Connector. You can update records, you can do all of that stuff. And if you use Salesforce Channels, the most recently launched feature of Slack, there's also some stuff coming down the line with that as well. But yes, the short answer is Salesforce can be a step in your workflow. Byron, next question.
Yeah, so speaking of triggers, Truman had a question. How can we set up a workflow that only triggers when a message contains a certain keyword? For example, like somebody saying urgent or something in a message. Is there kind of like a trigger for that?
Good question. So there isn't, but what I would recommend, this is probably my favorite, most fun use case for Workflow Builder, is when an emoji reaction is used. So let's say, for example, let's actually build this in real time. Why not? So let's say, for example, that every time someone posts in a channel and what gets posted in that channel is more appropriate for the admins of that channel, you can set up a workflow where you react to the message that was shared in the channel with a specific emoji, which will bring a link to that message over to a different channel, like an admin channel, for example. So let's see this in action. So I'm going to choose an emoji. And by the way, if you're doing emoji reaction, I would recommend doing an emoji that's not widely used, or else the workflow will continue forever. So let's go to the library here. Let's do Oprah. Excited Oprah. So any
That's so Chicago. That's so Chicago.
That's so Chicago. Yes, good call, Joy. So anytime someone emoji reacts with excited Oprah in, let's say, the intros channel, what happens? So I'm going to continue. So the workflow starts when someone reacts with excited Oprah in the intros channel. What happens when someone does that? Well, I want it to send a message to a channel. Which channel? I'm going to do my test channel. And then I'm going to say, hey, Jacob, someone shared this in intros, and I think it needs your attention. So what needs my attention? Well, the link to the message that was reacted to with excited Oprah. So a link to the message that was reacted to. And I'm going to put that there. I'm going to save that. And now we have our workflow. We can rename it and do all that, but it doesn't really matter because no one is seeing the name of the workflow. It's just an action. So I'm going to finish this up, and that's all I want it to do. I'm just doing this just to say your admins just need more visibility on something or something like that. So I'm going to finish up. Who can find this workflow? Anyone, and publish. So now, and you're an attendee here, and you want to react to some messages and intros to test it out. Let's see if it actually works. So anytime someone reacts with Oprah, excited Oprah, in the intros channel, I receive a message. So let's see if it happens. Does anyone? Let's see. We're going to do this in real time, folks.
It's on, Jacob. It's on. Hold on a second.
Let's see. So here's my test channel. I wonder if, there we go. You see right there. Hey, Jacob, someone shared this in intros, and I think it needs your attention, and a link to the message. So that doesn't exactly answer the question, Tarun. It's a really good question, but this is a workaround if your team is thinking of ways, or even if you're building out a newsletter. So if a team has a weekly newsletter and you from across the business, and you want to collect newsletter items throughout the week, why not just have an emoji reaction, a very specific one that not a lot of people know about, and react to stuff throughout the week across the business in various channels, and then that could compile your newsletter content because it will go to the newsletter admin channel. That's a really great way to just like automate that kind of stuff, but not exactly what you asked, but similar.
Let's see. Did we have
Anything
any other
else?
questions, Byron?
Sorry. Nope. No other questions right now.
All
Excellent.
right. Fantastic.
So while I'm in my test channel, I know that some of you have, there we go, it's popping off. While we're in the test channel, I know that some of you have shared that you like the remind feature. There's a few different ways to remind yourself of stuff. You can hover over a message. I'm gonna go up here. I love Slack. Who doesn't? More actions, and remind me about this message. And you can select when you want it to remind you. It's a good way, it's a good tool to use, especially if you don't want to address something right away or, you know, stuff like that. But you can also do a slash command, /remind. So remind test Jacob to celebrate Slack at 12:40 p.m. I'm going to do this live so it happens during the event. So let's go enter. Now Slackbot has told me I will remind this channel, Test Jacob, to celebrate Slack at 12:40 p.m. today. So let's just let that happen. That's in 3 minutes. So we'll see it happen during real time, or in real time, I should say. So that's another great way to remind yourself. / there's a lot of different things. So if you want to do / submit product feedback, that will go directly into the feedback channel up here. So you don't even need to go to the channel in order to submit feedback. You could just do /. You could do / say hello, which will bring it to the intros channel. I'll go back to the intros channel, by the way, so you can see that. / 30 days to Slack expert challenge, which is the Slack certified challenge that we're doing right now in the Slack certified channel. You can rename the channel. There's a whole bunch of different things. By the way, if you want to ask a question to our Slack CEO, Denise Dresser, the call for questions closes in a few days. So please submit your questions. We're hosting a fireside chat with her very soon. So my additional homework for everyone here is to go to a channel and do a / and see your options and play with it a little bit. You know, see what you can do. You can schedule a Google Calendar. You can ask for help. You can do a GIF, all of that good stuff. So just do / and then look at your options. Any questions about that? I'm going to hop into the intro so you can see everything I showed you from the intros channel. So this is the intros channel. This is the flow we were talking about. So someone clicks say hello, and this is the reason why it starts as a link. This is the link, this button. So click say hello, and the form pops up, the form that we built that I showed you earlier. How long have you been using Slack? You know, and you so on and so forth, submit, and it populates here. And the rest of the questions populate here. And then that starts a thread. So that is the intros example. And we have so many folks introducing themselves, which is wonderful. The other thing I'm just going to say really quick, if you want to celebrate your Slack community membership, if you go to the pinned section up here, you can create a nice little nifty social sharing card, which is really cool. It's a brand new tool that we just launched, which is really fun if you want to share something on LinkedIn about being a Slack community member, which all of you are, whether you knew that or not. So a couple other things, I am mindful of time as well. We also, a best practice is thinking about what kinds of events is your team having in person, and how can you complement that on Slack? How can you create a digital experience for your employees or your attendees or whoever it might be? We do it for Dreamforce. Excuse me, so if you're going to Dreamforce, it only makes sense that you're in the Dreamforce 25 live channel, even if you're not going to Dreamforce, or even if you're joining virtually. Totally cool. But we like to have a space that complements what's happening on site. Because when you're at Dreamforce, those of you who have been know this, you know, you're taking lots of pictures and videos, and you're going to sessions and sharing what you're learning. This is a really great way to complement that experience and give people who can't be there in person a chance to engage virtually, which I think is super fun. We just announced the musical performance for Dreamfest literally 3 hours ago. Metallica and Benson Boone. We also have a Dreamforce countdown, which is really fun. Byron, go ahead.
I was more interested in who the musical guest was. I hadn't heard yet. So.
Yes.
So excited about Benson. This is fantastic.
Yeah, Benson Boone
he's great.
and Metallica. Yeah, we got 2 performers.
House band and Benson. Fantastic.
Exactly.
Oh,
Love it.
no.
I'm not saying that's a
Exactly.
bad thing. Metallica has been at Dreamforce a number of times. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Here's a good example. Like, here's a photo of Scott. Scott leads our San Antonio chapter. He works at Verizon, and then my colleague Kelly, us at Dreamforce. I think this was this was in 2023 or 4, maybe even 2022. I'm not even sure. But it's just a fun place. So start to think about, like, how can you, and for example here, automate the introductions for the attendees. So we took the same model from the intros channel and replicated it here. We gave it its own icon, its own title, all of that good stuff. The other thing to show you in regards to workflows, because that's an important topic, we also use workflows for some of the stuff that we do more broadly with Slack community. So first of all, as you'll see here, we just launched the hackathon. If you want to win some money, 100 grand is nothing to ignore, if you were to ask me. But we also built a workflow, and this is good if you are hosting, or if you're collecting feedback from your team. For example, you could have a simple 1-question workflow, which we do here. If you want to submit a question to ask for consideration, to ask Denise Dresser, our CEO, you can submit your questions using this workflow. So start workflow, same idea, starts from a link. And 1 question. What would you like to ask Denise? And so what we've done here, to take it a step further, we were talking connectors earlier with Salesforce. The responses are connected to a Google Sheet. So for those of you who use Google Sheet or the Google Suite more broadly, this also works with things like Asana and a whole bunch of other things, Microsoft products as well. You can build a connector so that anytime someone submits something in a form, those form responses can go into a Google Sheet. So that's a really simple, very practical way to integrate Workflow Builder into processes that you probably already have. Because when you have it in a Google Sheet, you now are giving access to your team or your business, visibility into the workflow submissions. Even though you can technically download the submissions for the workflow forms, connecting it to a Google Sheet is not that bad either. So they click submit, and then there's a thank you note. So I'm going to submit here. So what's your favorite color? Even though I would never ask that. Maybe I would. So when I click submit, a few things happen. So that went to the Google Sheet, and then under apps, because again, a workflow is an app, what did it send me? It sent me, hey Jacob, thanks for submitting your question for the upcoming fireside chat with Slack CEO, blah, 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 blah. And so that's a good way to give some closure to workflow, especially if you're doing information collecting with your team. Remember that reminder I set? Slackbot just reminded me to celebrate Slack. So everyone in the chat should put your favorite Slack feature right now. It's time to celebrate Slack. We set a reminder to do it, and we're going to do it. We're not going to procrastinate. I'll pause there. Any questions come through? Anything like that?
One question we are getting a lot is, will this recording be shared? Yes, it will. We are making the recording now, so I will get that out. Hopefully, if not by the end of this week, beginning of next week. Let's see. Is there any? Let's see if there's anything else. Can we use check-in automation processes? Kind of a meaning, kind of creating a field with whatever keyword, but be built in the field and run automation accordingly. I'm a little perplexed on the question. But
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'll use the check-in example. Let me know if whoever asked this, let me know if I'm totally out of left field here. But if you wanted to check in employees at an event and you wanted that check-in process to be a workflow, you could build a workflow form where they say the name, the time they checked in, and their job on site. And then when they hit submit, that could go to the event host channel that's private. And it could say, hey, so-and-so has arrived at the event, just for visibility, just FYI. So that's a really simple automation you can do. Everything I'm showing you, there are a million, literally, not literally, but sky's the limit, figuratively, with Workflow Builder. You can replicate these ideas across a million different use cases. I would even say a trillion different use cases. Like, just think about it this way. What can I automate? What can we streamline? What are we going to external apps for, or external tools for, that we can keep in Slack? How are we checking people in for events? How are we collecting t-shirt sizes for an activation? How are we welcoming people to our workspace? How are they introducing themselves in our workspace? How are we submitting a help desk ticket for our work computer that's broken? So just thinking about processes like that, I think will really help lay a good foundation for what your workflows can become. And again, they're just automations, no code automations, a trigger followed by a series of steps that do stuff. Is a very simple way of putting it.
So another question here: if we allow Agentforce in the test channel, and we add the mention of it in a workflow, can Agentforce summarize the message as well?
That's a good question. I don't know. We're still in the process of trying to get Agentforce in the Slack community workspace. It's a little complex, as you all can imagine, but I don't know. But never say never when it comes to Workflow Builder and Agentforce. So stay tuned. But speaking of which, something I have not shown you all yet is Slack AI. So thank you to whoever asked that. You have inspired me and reminded me to talk about Slack AI. Slack AI is in this workspace. So if you're curious about Slack AI, you're not quite sure if you want to purchase it yet, all of those things, or you just want to try it out, or you're looking for information in the Slack community workspace, go up to the search bar. And what are the latest updates to Workflow Builder? Let's see what it does. So Slack AI, sure, will give you the responses from all over the workspace, but look what it's doing here. In real time, with citations, it is collecting all of that information as an answer to your question. So this is real time. Slack AI is pulling that information from the conversations throughout the community with a citation, so you can go directly to that Slack message. Another example here is, how do I apply to be a Slack community leader like Joy and Byron? Let's see what it says. So sure, it has a whole bunch of stuff here, but here's your answer. So I use Slack AI multiple times a day, every hour, every minute of every day, every second of every day. It's how I find stuff. It's sort of, I think to myself, before I ask this question in the team channel, let me just ask Slack AI. And I would say this even if I didn't work at Slack, I literally find all my answers in Slack AI, with Slack AI, I should say. So definitely consider adopting Slack AI, or at the very least, use it in the Slack community workspace. Ask it a question and see sort of, what comes of it. Because that could be a really exciting way to activate your team in uncovering and searching for information. You can also summarize threads with Slack AI. So let's say you're coming back from a long vacation. Let's see, let's go to feedback, the feedback channel. And let's go to a thread, let's say 9 replies here. So the thread has 9 replies. Oh no, it's too much information. Let me go up here to this icon up here in the upper right and click summarize thread. And so let's see what happens there. So summarizing a thread in the feedback channel. So Piyusha said something, Scott said something, and so on and so forth. So, if you're going on PTO for a long time, don't worry. Summarizing threads has your back. You can summarize channels if you wanted to. Even so, up here. Another underrated feature, and I'm just going to do like a rapid fire underrated feature stuff now. as we lean toward the end. Oh, by the way, the swag. So in addition to the 5 people that Byron and Joy will be choosing, I'm going to send swag to the first 10 people who submit a question for the fireside chat with our CEO. So the first 10 people, I'm going to look at the spreadsheet after this event. The first 10 people to submit a question for the fireside chat will receive swag from me. Okay, that's first of all. Second of all, what was I just doing? I totally was so excited about this, and now
Some
I
quick
forgot
tips.
what I was.
Oh
yeah,
I got lost.
yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Joy. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's just so much to love about Slack. I get lost. So underrated rapid fire stuff for Slack. So in the upper right-hand corner, you have the Huddles icon. Huddles being the meeting platform, so audio, visual. You can meet with your team. Something a lot of people don't know is you can copy the Huddle link to put in your calendar invite. That calendar invite is typical, like you copy and paste a Google Meets link or a Zoom link or now a Huddles link. And that Huddles link is specific to the channel. So if I copied this Huddles link and put it in a calendar invite, everyone who's in the feedback channel would be able to join that huddle. I can also put the huddle in a DM or in Test Jacob. Every channel and DM has its own unique huddle link. So just remember, you can always copy a huddle link and just paste it as the location in the calendar meeting invite. Another fun thing, if you go to, so my color scheme, I like the old school Slack purple vibe and red pink vibe, but if you wanted to change your themes, you can go to preferences or click command comma. So command comma and go to appearance. So here are the hex codes for my color scheme, but maybe you're sharing your screen for a presentation and your colleague's like, hey, I love your Slack color scheme. Like, what are the colors that you use? So click share. So it copies the hex codes for all of these. And then the fun part, when you paste all 4 hex codes here and click enter, it not only gives you a sample of each hex code color, but you can apply the Slack theme to your Slack instance. You can also undo it. So when you click apply Slack theme, there's an undo button as well. So that's a fun one if you want to steal someone's color scheme because you really like it. Or you want to test it out, that too. Another underrated feature, if you go to the middle of the channel and you see these dates and you see today and all of that, if you wanted to quickly browse a channel, use this drop-down menu. Like, oh, I want to get to that message in the workspace from like 10 years, 2 days, 3 months ago. How do I find it? Well, I want to jump to a specific date. You know, da-da-da-da, and then you can go to that spot in the channel without having to scroll. So you just click that drop-down menu. Another thing, you can go to channel name, right-click, and you have a ton of different options here. One that I think a lot of people don't know about is you can copy the name of a channel if you're pasting it somewhere, copy the link to a channel if you're pasting it somewhere, or copy the huddle link as well. You can also open the channel in its own window, which again helps with multitasking and stuff like that if you wanted to like keep it off to the side. One of my favorite features, you have my word, is opening activity feed in its own window. So activity feed is what's happening. So your tags, your emoji reactions, blah, 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 blah. Hover over activity and then go over to the right. Oops, there we go. Open a new window. And so this is really good to like keep on the side of your screen because, it's, you want to see what's happening. And maybe people are reacting with an emoji as saying, yes, I've taken a look at this document. And maybe you never knew that because you didn't have your activity feed open. So this is one of my favorite features. That way you don't have to click on activity or hover over it, or you can just always have eyes on it. And there's more that the Slack team is working on, by the way, when it comes to activity feed that I'm really excited about. I'll pause there. I'll start to wrap up there. But Joy, Byron, any last questions? If not, I'll turn it to you for the other 5 swag recipients.
I just got this one question. If I mute a channel, I still receive notification when someone replies to a thread. Is that correct? Or?
So when you mute a channel, you still get notification. So I believe those two are exclusive of one another. So for example, you would have to proactively go to the More Actions menu on a message and turn off notifications for replies. I believe they're two different things. So you would have to mute the channel and do this. I don't think it mutes the notifications for replies because the thread is that particular thread. It's not the channel. So make sure you do both.
Someone's also asking how they get access to the Test Jacob channel.
That's for Jacob to test.
Yeah.
That's for me to test. Thank you to whomever asked. I appreciate the question, but just for the purposes of testing.
A couple other questions. How do you convince colleagues who really like Google Meet to use Huddles instead?
I know this one. I got this
Great.
one.
Yes,
Oh,
Jordan,
You
do
ready?
it. Do it. Go ahead.
Take control of scheduling the meetings and put in the Huddle
Yes. Yes. So just like volunteer on your team to be the meeting scheduler, and then you'll never have to worry about it again.
One other thing too with Huddles, I like to tell people is that you can have multiple screen sharing in Huddles. So it works really well, especially if you're in kind of like a working session type of thing. So if you're in Google Meets and you're constantly like toggling back and forth between people's, screen shares, just let people know, hey, look, we can have multiple screen shares in Huddles and we can just kind of spin it up. So those calls work really well. I've noticed in those kinds of calls, best. And I just come from like a video conferencing background, so like, the best, like Huddles is a great tool in kind of creating almost like kind of like working together over the shoulder as opposed to like most video conferencing where it's a bunch of people talking kind of at once type of deal.
Totally.
So yeah,
totally.
And then
Thanks,
other question we have: can we connect multiple app calendars with Slack, as multiple people are not part of the same calendars? And by calendar, that means like Google calendars, Outlook, Salesforce calendars, and create a workflow to let each other know what you're currently busy with or what slot you kind of need open. Is that?
Yes, we do have. I believe so. There'll be every calendar app connector functions independent of one another. But yes, you can connect your calendars with Slack depending on which platform you use.
All right, I think that's all for all of our questions. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then